Not only that, they say a lot of people seem to be taking part in this as well. This morning, they're looking for 5 suspects. They say over the weekend, these guys simply walked around this neighborhood looking for unlocked car doors. If they found one unlocked, they went in and grabbed those valuables. Now, all of this was caught on home surveillance video. Well, the first thing investigators are trying to do today is determine if that train had cameras on it. That will help them to better piece together exactly what happened. Then there's the possibility of charges against this 26-year-old babysitter who was with this 2-year-old at the time. There were plenty of signs indicating to stay away from those tracks. Breaking news this morning, Pinellas County deputies are investigating a home invasion where a family was robbed at gunpoint. Volunteers at Metropolitan Ministries working overtime this morning to make sure that more than 6,000 right here in the Tampa area have a happy Thanksgiving. Coming up in a live report, why they're doing it and the impact on the community. Victoria's Secret is apologizing this morning after 2 African-American customers say they were told to leave while shopping on Wednesday because they were black. Now, one of the women started streaming on Facebook Live as the manager told them to leave. And it's kind of slow right now. Let me tell you, we've had the storm here, then the calm, and they're expecting a storm a bit later. Let me explain. They've been open, believe it or not, since 6 o'clock last night, and they're going to be open until 10 o'clock tonight. Yeah, so I've been seeing a lot of tired shoppers and, of course, workers. But one shopper that I caught this morning, Stacy, she's in the holiday spirit, and she's happy to talk to us. Thank you, Stacy. Now, what time did you get out here this morning?
Between 2 and 2.
Dear, you know, this all could have turned out a lot worse. In fact, security is actually keeping us off property, away from that building this morning, because they say it's simply too dangerous for anyone to be near it. In fact, we spoke with one family that actually had to jump from the 2nd floor to get to safety. Now, many of those families simply hope they can get back to that building today to clean up whatever they can and salvage whatever they can. The owner of the Pulse nightclub in Orlando now plans to reopen her business at a different location. The owner says she will reopen Pulse under the same name in a location as close as possible to that original site. In fact, she's speaking out this morning because she's hopeful that by speaking out, she will protect other women in this area. At this point, she still can't believe that this guy would actually attack her inside of a crowded bar. Let's take another look at this guy's picture, a pretty clear picture of who police are looking for this morning. Right now, 6:37. Still to come this morning, the surprise supersize you might see the next time you eat out.
Up next, the one unexpected.
And investigators are looking for 3 suspects this morning, and they say the method of operation pretty much the same. These guys are waiting till it's late at night and actually catching people at their cars alone, and then they'll go in and rob them. Now, we actually spoke with one of those victims, that victim that you guys mentioned earlier that was actually pistol whipped, and he's thankful that things didn't turn out worse. Plans now underway this morning for one of the largest influx of visitors to the Bay Area in years, and the city still needs help accommodating the thousands of football fans headed this way. In less than 3 weeks, this has had a deep impact on this woman. Now, she understands that some people may hear this story and think that it may be funny, but she says this is no laughing matter.
Istanbul.
Now, the explosions killed more than 36 people and injured more than 100 others. The blast happened outside a soccer stadium shortly after that game. This morning, we now know the identity of the Clearwater man who police say was stabbed to death by his girlfriend. He's been identified as 58-year-old Donald Barnes. Police say 51-year-old Elise Johnson killed him at their home on North MLK Avenue. Detectives say the two got into a fight that turned violent early Saturday morning. Johnson is now charged with manslaughter. Good morning, Dia. Let me tell you, pretty active scene here. Investigators still trying to determine exactly what happened, but it appears that this vehicle was traveling down MLK here right at 21st Street at a high rate of speed. If you can see behind me, this is the vehicle being towed away. As you can see, it's main.
You need to start.
I know. I haven't bought anything for my wife yet. I will. I'm a last-minute shopper, like the day before. You get the best deals that way.
You think so, on the 24th?
Yeah, you may get the worst presents, but the best deals. How about that?
That's how my husband shops.
Well, it certainly could have, Dia. You know, at last check, one of those suspects in critical condition this morning. The other was not badly hurt. Thankfully, the 6 deputies involved in all of this were not hurt. Now, a bit later on this morning, we're expected to get the names of those suspects as well. As you can see right behind me, still a very active scene. Investigators have been out here throughout the morning.
Baby names were trending for most of the year.
And you've already been thinking about some names, don't you?
Yeah, we're working on a list.
Yeah.
A couple out there.
Isn't it right? Well, the new list from the website Baby Center ranks the most popular names of 2016.
Okay, so top girl.
Dan, all within minutes, these guys were in and out pretty quickly. This is a pretty active scene here. As you can see behind me, investigators have been out here throughout the morning trying to piece together exactly what happened. Here they are, and investigators are expected to release a bit more information about that later on this morning. Now, when they arrested these 2 teenagers, one of them actually had a weapon that was recovered from a robbery of a gun store in Tampa just 2 weeks ago. If you remember, we covered that story heavily. Now, this all started for investigators right here in Polk County at this convenience store behind me. Over the weekend, a guy actually left his car running. The two teens inside walked out, hopped right inside of that car. For weeks now, we've showed you videos of thieves stealing packages from homeowners right from the front porches. Well, if you have a package on its way, you need to beware. That's because the Postal Service says today will be their busiest delivery day of the entire year. And that's right. The travel site Airbnb has new listings all within 3 miles of Ray J, asking anywhere from $500 a night to $1,000 a night for a whole house. He does, Dan, but he says the responding officer who showed up did not help. Instead, simply let him lie in the street. A short time later, this guy was hit by a car, and now he says he will never walk again. A 70-year-old cancer survivor getting his car back after a local tow company held it hostage for more than a month. She also says this community is still stunned by this tragic news today. Grief counselors will be on hand here at the school to speak with those students and staff who may need it. Meanwhile, the investigation into this case is far from over at this point. Welcome back. The time right now, just about 7:45. For so many of us, there's nothing more frustrating, of course, than being stuck in traffic. Good morning, Dia. You know, believe it or not, a number of shopping center parking lots will look like this a bit later today, packed with shoppers. A number of stores opening early so folks can get in there and get those good deals. In the wake of that tragic school bus crash in Tennessee, parents right here in Florida asking what's being done to keep kids safe. Ahead in a live report, the laws already on the books and if they're being followed. I don't get it, but that's just me. Consumer reporter John Matarese shows us why some families who got one are already complaining about these things, so you don't waste your money. The principal also describing this young student as sweet and loving. She says not a day would go by that he didn't say good morning. This morning, grief counselors are on hand to speak with those students and staff who need it to get through all this. The investigation into the death of 14-year-old Kyler Daughtry far from over this morning. Investigators are telling us Daughtry and 2 other teens were playing with a shotgun when it went off. Those involved are reviewing evidence today. The sheriff describes this case as frustrating.
And they thought it was cool to look at the firearm. And they didn't know what they were doing. And now we have a 14-year-old child that's dead.
We spoke to the manager of the motel where the 3 families live. She walked in minutes after the shooting.
I go in the room and find this kid on the floor, start doing CPR. But from what I could see, I already knew it wasn't going to do any good. Kyler Daughtry's family says they will donate his organs. The sheriff's office says this case should serve as a warning to other kids.
The number 1 rule is you never point a firearm, whether loaded or not, at anyone.
And investigators are still speaking with those other 2 teenagers involved with it this morning, trying to go over more evidence in this case. Although investigators say that this appears to be an accident, criminal charges are still a possibility. For now, reporting live in Lake Alfred, Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News. This situation is not funny in the least. This librarian has some pretty serious injuries following this explosion, and she says it should have never happened.
I flushed the toilet and took 1 step, and it blew out, and that's pieces of shrapnel were flying around the room. And of course, the first thing you do is close your eyes, turn your head, and duck.
Ann Burson described for us the moment the toilet at Tarpon Springs Fundamental Elementary exploded. At the time, Burson was a librarian at the school.
Well, you can't tell the story without smiling because everybody thinks it's so unreal.
According to a lawsuit she filed just this week, the city was working on the school's water lines that day. Somehow, the pressure buildup led to the side of the toilet simply blowing out.
Everybody was running towards me, and I said, I'm okay. And then I turned around, and there were all these big blood drops in the floor.
She says the city should take responsibility. Ann Burson's injuries were pretty serious. A piece of porcelain got stuck in her leg and became infected. Thankfully, she's doing better now.
It was like a big smiley face, and then they stitched it all up.
Burson hopes the lawsuit will keep this from happening to anyone else. For their part, the city could not comment because this lawsuit is pending. Reporting from Tarpon Springs, Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News. They've been working nonstop. Some of these volunteers got here as early as 4 o'clock this morning to put in work here, all of them working to ensure that families have a special Thanksgiving, of course, those who need it most. This is a labor of love for these volunteers.
I've been doing this 8 years in a row.
For Jeff Roble, this is what makes his holiday.
I wake up every Thanksgiving morning as early as I can.
Each year, Metropolitan Ministries opens its doors to the community, offering help, hope, and fellowship to nearly 6,000.
I'm so encouraged by the love and the compassion that the Tampa Bay community has.
Those like Jill Hare, who brought out her entire family.
It's a time of year to be with your family, and if we can do an activity that helps others, we wanted to do that.
For many of these families helped here, they simply can't express what all of this means.
Oh, it makes me feel great. Makes me feel that's above and beyond this description. It's been great. We love you. Well, come give me a hug.
Tony Miller, who's here with his wife and 2 young daughters, truly appreciative of those here giving of themselves.
Oh, they're awesome. To volunteer, they're not getting paid, of course, whatever. To volunteer on a special day like Thanksgiving, aside from their families, to come here and do for everybody else's family is awesome.
And as you can see, things here pretty busy this morning, and the work doesn't stop here. Families are able to go to designated sites throughout Tampa Bay to possibly get a warm meal for themselves and their family if they're needed. Of course, as you heard, there are a number of these volunteers simply happy that they can help out and do something special on this Thanksgiving. We're now reporting live from Metro Ministries. Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News. Investigators tell us this plan was very organized and well thought out. A group of 5 suspects driving around in 2 vehicles would hit this neighborhood, and they would walk up the driveway to see if a vehicle was unlocked. If it was, they would go right in. Take a look at this video. It was caught by a home surveillance camera. It catches the suspects in the act as they hit vehicles inside the Lone Star Ranch subdivision.
This time of year, it's really sad to see people out doing that kind of thing because, it's the holidays and folks are trying to be nice and courteous and show respect towards other people. And when you see other people getting broken into, it's very devastating.
Concerned homeowners now keeping a watchful eye out. This morning, investigators also trying to determine if a similar crime in Wesley Chapel is connected. In that case, 2 men were seen on camera breaking into a van at a gas station.
Our vehicles are always locked. You can check them at any time and they're locked.
I make sure I park in the garage. I make sure that my doors are locked. I make sure my alarm system's on every day, and that I'm just being very observant in the neighborhood and keeping an eye out for my neighbors.
Deputies are now going throughout this neighborhood, alerting homeowners to exactly what's going on, passing out flyers, of course, sending out that warning to lock those doors and keep those valuables out of plain sight. For now, reporting from Pasco County, Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News. You're right about that, Dia, and thankfully no one inside was hurt. Now, we just got updates on the condition of the 4 people inside of that vehicle. The front seat passenger is in critical condition this morning. We're told the driver is in ICU. The 2 passengers in the back seat, we understand, are expected to be okay. Still plenty of damage, as you can see here, left behind when this car pretty much drove to the drive-through here, actually hit a truck right here and ran right into that tree. Now, a number of people in this community tell me that this neighborhood and this road has long been a danger, and they blame speeding for this morning's wreck.
It's a miracle that anybody survived looking at them from this point of view.
This morning, investigators with Bradenton PD trying to determine exactly what led to this horrible crash. Neighbors awakened by it all just before 3 this morning.
I just heard the sirens coming up a little bit later after. That's about it.
You can see here what's left of this mangled car.
I pray for them and I pray for their families.
Officers tell us 4 adults were in the vehicle as it traveled down MLK Avenue. The driver lost control at 21st Street, hitting this truck before smashing into a tree.
I hope they survive. I hope everything be all right.
The 4 people inside rushed to the hospital. People living here telling us speeding has been an issue for years along this road.
It's just sad how people go through here so fast. I mean, not long ago there was another wreck out here just a few months ago right in the same spot because of how fast they were going.
And as you can see out here this morning, the homeowner has a lot to clean up. Spoke with him, as a matter of fact, early this morning. He was a bit too shaken up to go on camera, as you can imagine, but thankful that no one inside was hurt. As for where this investigation goes from here, police with the Bradenton Police Department hope to speak with those passengers at some point this morning to determine exactly what led to this crash. For now, reporting live in Bradenton, Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News. They opened up at 6 last night, and they'll be open until 10 tonight. Long hours for not only those shoppers, but a lot of the people who work at this mall as well. Now, a number of those shoppers we spoke with this morning, not only looking for a great deal today, but they want to have a bit of fun on Black Friday as well. The shopping rush started early here at Tampa Premium Outlets in Wesley Chapel.
4 a.m. is our tradition every year for over 20 years. We're up at 3, out at 4.
Those here up bright and early looking to stock up.
Well, we always go to Forever 21. We spend a lot of time in there.
Yeah.
I like Polo store. I like the Sperry store.
Yeah.
We go pretty much everywhere.
And I just thought, it's Florida. You need a little extra help to be festive. And so I thought I'd don my glowing lights today.
Prices at most stores slashed 30, 50, even 70% off.
Michael Kors, the Ralph Lauren store, the Disney store, lots of good deals.
Yeah.
Express and a couple other stores are running really good deals.
Yeah, the athletic stores are a big hit with my teenage sons. And just going out to find what I don't even know that I need yet, really.
And you were telling me earlier that your mom was going to get you some cool makeup too?
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys a lot. I'll let you get back to the shopping. And check out the crowd at this Tampa Toys R Us. Folks here trying to get the hot new thing for those holiday gifts.
We've been to Walmart, Target, Kohl's. We've had to unload the car twice.
Yeah.
For some, Black Friday has turned into a fun family tradition, not only about spending cash, but bonding as well.
We have my daughter, my grandbaby, my granddaughter, my niece. We have my best friend Sheila.
For these folks, this is just the start to a fun holiday season ahead. And of course, safety and security on the top of mind for many of these shoppers as well. Isabel Rosales live for us this morning in St. Pete with a look at how malls and shoppers are handling that aspect of this big day. Isabel. This was a very brazen crime. All of this happening around 3 o'clock this morning. Just spoke with the owner who's actually been watching that surveillance video that you mentioned with investigators this morning. If you take a look behind me, you can see the damage that's left. These criminals, possibly up to a dozen, they got in here by using a huge truck to ram the front entrance to the store here, and they ran in, possibly stealing 40, maybe even more weapons.
As far as we know, a large truck ran through the glass. They seemed pretty well prepared.
Richard Smith still can't believe it. The owner of Tampa Arms Company, shocked by the early morning robbery.
Fortunately, we did have state-of-the-art security. We did have bars on the window. Of course, it's not going to stop a 6,000-pound truck.
All of it happening within minutes. Surveillance video investigators looking over shows the crooks driving through the front entry. Then possibly a dozen or more people ran in, taking up to 40 weapons, long guns and pistols. Deputies are hopeful surveillance cameras inside the business caught something they can use.
There's also cameras on the building on the back. We're waiting for the maintenance guy who maintains those to maybe pull something off of that in case they were hanging out in the back of the building.
And as you guys can see here, very active scene. The ATF is on scene also to count up those weapons and to help out in this investigation. And the owner tells me something else to note here. There are a number of employees who will be without a job now because of this during the holiday season, because he is not sure when they will reopen this business. Again, that video they just released to the media only about 5 minutes ago. Hopefully we can get that on for you guys, but if not, we'll have it on our website, abcactionnews.com. And investigators are hopeful that putting that video out will help out in this investigation as well. For now, reporting live in Tampa, Rodney Dunigan, ABC Action News.